What's up, guys? Thanks for checking out this week's Wander. If you're new here, my name's Ty. We do a lot of fab work, budget build type videos. So if you like that, consider subscribing. Hit that bell so you're notified when we upload. But today's video is going to be a little different. We're actually prepping for Moab this week, so we've been running back and forth doing different things, but we haven't really taken a lot of footage on that. So you guys are just going to have to wait till we're back. We're going to have a ton of Moab footage. But today's video, we're going to be going over the Amazon essentials that I have for my build. So everyone's different. We all have purpose-built vehicles for what we enjoy doing. But this is what I got off Amazon, and hopefully it helps you guys kind of figure out your build and keep it budget friendly. So let's check it out. Alright, so we're going to be going over the Amazon parts and products that I'm running on my 4Runner. Pretty much Amazon needs to sponsor me because I have a ton of Amazon parts on my rig. But the reason why I go with Amazon primarily is because it's quick and easy and my build is always evolving. So we'll dive into some of that further in this video. We'll go through some of the cheaper parts and then work our way up to more expensive ones. I'll give you some insight on these parts. They're all ones that I've run for a while now, and I'm pretty happy with the performance. So let's dive into it. All right, first things first, we have these headrest grab handles. I've run these for a while. They're made out of reinforced nylon. I think there's like some kind of fiber inside the nylon, so they're actually really strong. I've done a little bit of testing, but I almost want to make a separate video on these and like run them over, see how strong they actually are. But so far so good. I haven't had any issues, and they're a cheap, easy mod to do to your 4Runner. Alright, so next up we have these side shooter LED pods. These are a pack of 2. They're extremely bright actually for what they are. I opted for the strobe function on the amber. So far so good. I have them mounted on my roof rack. Haven't had any issues with them. I love that they have a strobe function on them. So if I'm ever in an emergency situation, I can just flip on the strobe and have a little more visibility. So I really like these. I have read some reviews that they have had condensation build up over time. The easy fix is to just take this front piece off and run a bead of silicone around it and bolt it back up. I honestly haven't done that yet, but I also haven't had any water buildup inside. So if I ever get to that point, that's the easy fix. But so far so good. I like the quality of these. The output is really good, better than some of the other generic cube lights that I've used or seen. And for 36 bucks for a 2-pack, you can't really beat that. So alright, so next up we have these 7-inch round LED lights. These are a spot flood combo, all LED. Housing is aluminum, and as we mentioned before with the cube lights, you probably want to go through and seal these up before they get any kind of condensation buildup. But for the price, I think it's what, 2 for 50 bucks, really affordable. I did want to mention that these are another alternative. I would not buy these if I were you guys. I had a buddy that runs these, and the picture is actually pretty accurate to what it looks like. They're not very bright at all compared to these Light Boss ones with the spot flood combo. Obviously they don't have as many LED lights inside anyways, so but yeah, I'm really happy with them. They are pretty low profile as far as the depth of them, so they fit really good on my bumper. I'm actually running 4 of these, so far so good. They come with all the brackets and mounting hardware that you need, and you just wire them up to a toggle switch. Alright, next up we have the Bunker Industry traction boards. These things are pretty sweet. Hopefully you guys shouldn't have to be using them because you're driving sweet 4Runners and they don't get stuck. But whether it's user error or you're pushing your limits, when you do get stuck, throw these bad boys down and drive right out. I really like these. There's 2 main reasons why. One, they're really flexible. So, as far as bridging gaps, you're probably going to have to stack 2 or 3 together to bridge over something without them being too flexy. but these also conform to the ground when you're driving over a big rock or whatever, and they're not going to snap on you. So there's that, and then I love how there's a jack base built into it. They do kind of look like egg cartons, but that's just the gray ones. There's all different colors with these, but so far so good. I kind of look at these as being, disposable. With any traction board, you're gonna have a lifespan, especially if you're using them a lot. So for me, it's that balance of finding, something that's cheap price wise but also good quality, and these are perfect for that. So I really like the ones I have. I used them on last trip. I did wear out a couple of the nubs on them, but they're still usable. So when they get too bad, I'm definitely going to be buying another set. All right, next up we have the Bunker Off-Road Recovery Kit. This is a necessity in my opinion for off-roading. We're all going to get stuck at one point, especially if you're in a Toyota following a Jeep, because we know Toyotas can't follow Jeeps through trails. They're just too hard. So I've always been a huge advocate on having proper recovery gear. I've seen people try to perform recoveries, and whether they just didn't have the gear or they don't know what they're doing, they can get out of hand really quick. So it's important to have decent gear and to do a little research before it happens. Just prepare yourselves for a recovery situation. But anyways, I really like this kit. It has what I needed. I needed a strap and a tree saver, and it has the line dampener, which is crucial because I still have a steel cable. So yeah, as far as the build quality, it's very similar to the ARB kit my dad has. It just doesn't have as much stuff included. I don't really like the gloves that come with it. I'm gonna swap those out for gloves that I prefer, but everything else is pretty sweet, and for the price you can't really go wrong. I mean, the ARB kit is like 3 times as much, and it only has like 1 or 2 extra straps, but so far so good. I haven't really got to use it yet, but I'll keep you guys updated on that. All right, next up, we're kind of moving towards more of the parts than the gear. So we got the DynoFit upper control arms. These I've been running for a while, and I'm really happy with them. They accommodate a 2 to a 4-inch lift, so plenty of room for the typical 3-inch lift that we're doing on the 4th gens. I think I technically have like a 3.5-inch suspension lift and another 2-inch body lift, or 1.5-inch body lift, sorry. But yeah, these clear my coils very well. I like that they have the polyurethane bushings and the grease zerks on it, so you can re-grease them, keep them from squeaking. The other thing is it's TIG welded versus casted, so I don't know, it might be a little stronger. I don't know the pros and cons really of that, but gives you a lot more room. It fits the 4th gen 4Runner. I don't know why it isn't listed. It shows all the other compatible vehicles, so it does fit even though it doesn't say it does, and for some reason it's unavailable. So if you guys want this style, these are actually the same company that builds the Freedom Off-Road upper control arms, so I think those are actually pretty similar in price as well if you want to go for those, and they have different colors and stuff. But yeah, Freedom Off-Road or DynoFit upper control arms. So far I'm actually really happy with these control arms. Alright, next up on the topic of suspension, we have the ProComp front springs. So pretty self-explanatory. They're just coils. I run these with my 5100s set at 0. So for those of you that don't know what the 5100s are, they're the Bilsteins, and they're a adjustable strut pretty much. So you can't run these because these are a lift spring, so you can't run these on a higher setting than 0 without giving too much preload. So if you run these with them set at 0, you'll get a true 3-inch lift, and these I think are a 700-pound spring, so they're for a heavier setup with a bumper and a winch. So I think they have a lower weight rated one, but I opted for these because I have a pretty heavy setup, and so far so good. The picture looks blue, but they come black, and for the price, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about them. It got rid of my nosedive and paired with the 5100s, it actually rides pretty smooth, so I like it. For the rear, I'm running the Raptor Series Overlander coils. I really like these. They're a heavier rated coil as well for all the weight in the back. Since it's a 3-inch coil, I added a inch spacer on top to give me a little rake. If you don't have a ton of weight in the back, this will sit level with your 3-inch lift in the front, but because I have so much weight with the drawer system and the tire carrier and fridge and all that, I added an inch spacer on top. But overall, I really like my suspension setup with the Bilstein 5100s and these springs. It rides pretty good. It's pretty comparable to my dad's TRD Pro stock suspension, but it doesn't have as much nosedive. So, I mean, I hit speed bumps going 30 miles an hour and it absorbs them pretty good. But overall, I think I'm like $500 into my suspension setup. I did get the 5100s used because there was kind of a scare a few years ago with the 5100s. People were saying they were snapping all the time and stuff. So I picked them up pretty cheap. Some guy upgraded to Kings or something like that, but yeah, the Bilsteins won't snap unless you have too much preload on them. So if you run them properly, they're really good shocks. I really like how they work, and they're so cheap, they're almost disposable. So if they go out, I'll just buy another cheap pair. But yeah, that's my suspension setup. I'm pretty happy with it. And on to some of the fun stuff, some of the more expensive stuff. This is the fridge that I decided to go with. There's a few specific reasons why I chose this over some other options. But this is the Change More Dual Zone 42 quart fridge. We'll go into some of the pros and cons later after I describe what it is, but it's actually a pretty good fridge. I came from using a Coleman Power Chill, so honestly anything's better than that little quote-unquote fridge. It's basically a cooler. It doesn't reach freezing temperatures, but it was a plug-in cooler pretty much. So I needed to upgrade. It's actually pretty compact. Here's the sizes. I didn't want a bigger fridge than this, so that's why I opted for the smaller 42 quart. But pretty much the big section is the freezer. The small section is the fridge. That way you can put your Coke cans and stuff in the fridge without them exploding, and then you can freeze your meat and stuff in here. It's not a true dual zone, meaning you don't have two different temperature controls. So pretty much you set your fridge to, let's say, 20 degrees or whatever, and that will keep the big section 20 degrees. This section has a little more insulation, so it's not going to stay as cool as this one. So if the big part is set at 20 degrees, the smaller one's going to be 35 degrees or whatever. So you can't really control the two different temperatures, but with a little trial and error you can get them to be the temperatures that you want, which is kind of stinks, but then again, for the price you can't really complain. The build quality is really good from what I've seen. It's got the heavy duty handles and the soft closed door. I really like that. And then on the lid, in this picture you can't really tell, but it shows you some temperature readings and what to set your fridge for different foods temperature wise. But I really like it. They've got a sweet 3rd gen in the video. They also offer a 45 quart or 48 quart, which this one has Bluetooth, and it's a true dual zone, but it's also a lot more expensive. Excuse me. It's $409. 42 quart is $299, but I was able to get it for $200 when they were doing a deal. So keep an eye out. They might do another deal, but so far it's $300 for now. But I really like the fridge. We're going to Moab this week to test it out. And that kind of brings us to my power bank. I'll show you what we're running there. All right, so for my power bank, I'm running the Awamfi Power Station. I think that's how you say it, Awamfi. I don't know. But I saw some YouTube videos on this and some write-ups, and that's what pointed me towards this one. To my understanding, it's pretty much Jackery, just looks different. It's a little more compact, but the internals are about the same. So if you're running a fridge, you're gonna want at least a 500 watt. You might be able to get away with 300 watt, but I'm not sure. But I got this, it was at 70%. I plugged it right into my fridge. The fridge went from 75 degrees to 32 degrees in 5 minutes or so. And the power bank reached 60% from there. And then from that point forward, it was only pulling 1 watt, and the fridge maintained 32 degrees for 2 full days. So I just left it plugged in my truck just to see how long it would last, and it exceeded my expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be more than an hour or more than 8 hours or so. You know, I just wanted it to last a night, and then I thought I'd have to recharge it the following day. But so far, it will last 2 full days having the fridge on. And kind of my plan with the fridge was I'd kind of daisy chain it. So I'd have the fridge plugged into the power bank, and then the power bank into my 12 volt. That way it's consistently getting juice while the car's on. So hopefully I'd only need the power bank for when the car's off to maintain the fridge. But I might be able to keep it going for a couple days before I have to recharge it. So, and I'm going to charge my camera gear and stuff like that. So who knows? But so far I'm really happy with it. It's got the pure sine wave, so it's going to keep your fridge and all your components safe. And it's got a light on the front. It's got all your inputs or all your outputs. You know, you got your USBs, you got your USB-C, you got your 110s here. The only thing I don't like about those is only one of them is grounded. So if you have 2 things, you know, like a fan or whatever, and an induction stove or whatever, like only one of them is going to be grounded, which is kind of dangerous, I guess, but whatever. And then you have your DC 12 volts and your input for your solar panel and your 12 volt charging. So $365 for this. I think I got a better deal because I have browser coupons. Let's see. So maybe I didn't. My browser says the lowest is $359 right now. So I might have paid that much. The 300 watt is obviously a lot cheaper. I haven't used it, so I don't know if it's good enough to power a fridge for a night, but who knows, maybe give it a shot. But so far so good. Like I said, we're going to Moab this week, and we're going to test out how good it actually is. We're going to abuse it, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going to have a separate video for my fridge and my power bank set up, so subscribe and stay tuned for that. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. It was probably a little different than you're used to, so if you like this style of video, please comment below. Otherwise, stay tuned for some Moab footage here in the next week or so. Also, stay tuned for the fridge video. We're going to be testing it out like crazy at Moab, so I'm super excited, guys. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully we can reach 1,000 subscribers at some point soon. That way we'll get monetized and I can put a little more money into the channel and create better content for you guys. So I appreciate you. Take it easy.